Welcome to Gamer Profiles. I am Jay LaRock, and today, as I said, one of the things that we always do is not only just bring you the people that make the games, we also want to bring you the gamers and the people that also cover games. And today we're bringing you one of the people that I have been keeping an eye on for a long time because I love his videos. We are here with one of the great YouTubers out there, and I hope that you've been watching him too, because along with the Google Plus page that we also have a section where we let people come on and paste anything that they want. You know, their other channels, because we also want to see everyone's work. You know, it's not about competition. You know, we want everyone to share their pictures, their videos, and a lot of people have great work out there. And one of the people that have a lot of great videos is our guest today. He goes by the handle Lifespiller. Thanks for joining us today. You can view all his YouTube videos on youtube.com/Lifespiller79. Thanks for coming on the show today.
How you doing, man? I'm glad to be here to be able to do this interview. This will probably be my first live interview because most people, like we were having a conversation a little bit before, is that I think really what it just boils down to is schedule conflicts and stuff like that. But what most people don't realize with me, I'm actually pretty open. So, you know, if schedules get in the way, it's really not that big of a deal. I'm a flexible person, so if people want to interview or do podcasts, I'm always willing to talk about what I love, and that's video games. But yeah, I'm glad to be here as well.
And besides being a gamer and doing your podcasting, you're also a collector, which is anyone that's seen the numerous videos that you have, the collection that you have, and you can see right here the collection that you have. So I guess I'll start with that. You know, obviously anyone who gets into gaming, you automatically start kind of becoming a collector, but you kind of move from just collecting games because you decide to keep a game if you decide not to go the route of trading in your games or selling them. But for you, how did you make that mark over to just saying, hey, I want to become a serious collector?
Well, for me, it actually started about 2.5 years ago. Um, it was so weird because I actually didn't even, when I started my YouTube channel, I wasn't even collecting, like keeping. I was just wanting to do a channel. It was funny because I always tell people this, kind of tell people the same story is that I was talking to one of my buddies that I discovered on YouTube, and we actually were Twitter buddies first. This was like 2.5, almost 3 years ago. We were Twitter buddies, and we just used to just go in and just talk about games, like retro stuff, and even up to the current gen stuff. And he was like, dude, you seem like you got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to games. I said, well, I've been playing games since I was like 5. And I'm almost 36 now. And he was like, you should start your own channel. And I was like, dude, I don't even have a camera. I don't have a camera. I don't have this. I was just going down the line and just talking about what I don't have. And he was like, he started walking me through the steps, and he was like, no, you should just do this or you should just do that. And one thing after another, I shot my first video. And the crazy thing, Jay, is that when I first started, like I said, I never had intentions on it. But what happens is that when you start to go into a new era or you dive into something different, you start to study and learn that craft, and you focus in on that. And so it actually becomes your daily life. So then what happened is that I started reading more about video games and stuff like that. And then also I started watching YouTube videos, just watching other people and stuff like that. And then I started seeing other people was like, yeah, man, if you ever want to do this, you can just go into retro. And it sparked something in me because I had such a love and passion for the old stuff. Like my first console was the Atari 2600. And so I started thinking to myself, I said, man, the concept and the thought actually came to fruition. And then I started thinking, oh, well, shoot, I could just start going back and getting these systems. And so then from that point on, after about my second or third video, I was like, I'm not getting rid of my games anymore. I'm gonna start collecting. So that first year, that I started my YouTube channel, I probably picked up about 300-400 games easily.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was like quick and fast because I started grabbing all these systems. I think I collected about 4 or 5 systems that year. I already had at the time. I already had a PS3 and a 360, but then I wanted a Super Nintendo so bad because there were so many memories tied to that. So the first system I got was a Super Nintendo, and I actually got it on Craigslist, and I got about 9 games with that. And then I walked in a pawn shop and I saw a Nintendo, and it had a couple of games. And um, then I met this one guy on Craigslist, and he had a Sega Genesis, and he had about 20 to 30 games with it. And then I had, in the meanwhile of doing all this collecting, I started meeting people, not only Craigslist, but on Twitter. So then that's how I scored a PS2, and the person I got it from, she shipped it to me from California, and it had about 20 something games. So it just kind of took off from there, and I just started saying, hey, all the games that I either had or never played or played at my friend's house, I'm gonna go back and get those games. So I just started going through mom and pop shops, um, just garage sales, thrift stores, all kinds of places. And then over a matter of time, I found myself collecting faster than I thought. And so, like I said, over the last few years, I think at the last time I done a check, I'm at about 700 games.
Do you have like a
So
gem like that you know, like a lot of times especially with the pawn shop or the garage pickers, or like, you know, those shows that you see, they go to the storage and they find that gem. Do you have like that or story or in your collection where maybe you went to you know, like the garage sale and you say, "Oh my God, I found this item for like 10 cents," and you're like, "Holy shit."
man, that's, you know what? That's the funny thing, Jay, with collecting. It happens, but it happens in spurts. I think the first time that it happened for me was when I went into a pawn shop and I found Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I got them for $1 a piece. And at the time they were kind of pricey. They've gone down in price, but there was kind of a big deal. And then there was this time that I walked into a pawn shop or to a thrift store that just opened up, and they had Parasite E 1 and 2 for $1 a piece. So I got those. And then there was just recently, I just picked up the first. Well, because I've been on a pursuit to collect all the Mega Mans for the NES, and I scored. I already had. Our first one I got was Mega Man 2 because that's my favorite NES game of all time, and that's my favorite game on the NES easily. But I got 2, and then I found 3, and then I found 4. But then when I started looking up the prices on these games, Mega Man 1 is like $50 by itself. That's just the card alone, no book, no box or anything. And then Mega Man 5 and 6, they go up really up in price, and they're really hard to find. I seen Mega Man 5, and I think I saw it for like $40 or $50, but I wasn't gonna spend that much on one card at that time because I saw so much. But what was funny is that um, I have plenty of stories. It's just crazy. But one day I was talking to one of my coworkers, and he was like, man, we just started chopping it up, talking about video games and how much we love them. He's more into the action figures and the comics and stuff, and he was just telling me all about that. And so he asked me about a specific game, and I told him. He just named. It was so funny because he just named a few things or a few characteristics about the game, and I was able to figure out. I was talking about, oh, you're talking about, and the name of the game I believe is pronounced Roston,
Ah,
Rastan.
yes. Hmm.
It's an old school classic game. Now the funny thing about that game is that you can actually,
Big barbarian dude.
yeah, yeah, you can actually play that game. It's on. They did a port on the PS2. I'll show you the game real quick. Give me a sec.
Yeah, that game was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Big barbarian dude come out. chopping down stuff. He looked so stiff. It was like He-Man, but he was, like really stiff with his movements, and he would come out and swing stuff. And when he would die, like he would do like this pose. It's like he looked so tough when he would come out and make his movements, and yet, at the same time, the game was really difficult. And as big and tough as he was, it was still pretty easy for him to die. So it's kind of strange mixture. And I guess maybe the weird thing about it is as strong as he was, maybe the land that he was in was full of mystical uh, beasts and stuff that could just kill him in one hit. But I always thought it was so funny. I guess like it in Always Sunny, you sacrifice movement for mass.
Man, I was moving so quick I couldn't. Here it is. It's on this. Yeah, there it is. It's actually on this collection. You can actually find this for the PS2. And what was crazy is that when I got the PS2, the fat one, the um, the person that sent it to me, I was just going through, and what it does is it has all the classic. There's like a lot of classic '80s arcade games on there. A lot of the stuff I used to play all the time. So when I saw that on there anyway, speeding back up to my coworker, he said, "Yeah, man, that's the game." He was like, "How'd you know about that?" I was like, "Dude, I've been playing games for a long, long time." And so anyway, we were just chopping it up and just talking about video games, games we used to love, and then I just went down the line of telling him all the systems that I got. I was telling him, I said I got all the Nintendos except the Wii and the Wii U, which I plan on probably getting the Wii U next year because you can play the Wii games on it. So I said, well, I'll just do that and just get that instead. Because the popularity on it is starting to go up, so I better hurry up and get one while it's still cheap. Nobody's really thinking about it too much. It's starting to increase. I know the holiday season is going to increase. But anyway, so we're talking, and he was like, yeah, man. Um, he shows up the next day, and he has a bag full of games. And in one of those games, let me show you something. Let's see. So he shows up, and I was telling him how much I love video games, and he has a bag. And I open up the bag, and he's like, he got Mega Man 1. And
Oh,
in the
nice.
game, itself cost $50. He wanted to give me the game, and I just stopped for a second and just melted. I said, man, I got some pocket change or something. He's like, well, just give me $1. So I got the game for $1. This game cost $50. The last time I saw this game at the store, the label was completely ripped off. The guy wanted $40 for it.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. And he had some duplicates in there. I mean, he had a few other games that I didn't have. So needless to say, the rest of the box I paid about $10 for it. But there was some expensive titles in there. There was Mega Man 4, Killer Instinct, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Silver Surfer, Mega Man 1, um, some other games in there, but a lot of those games I already had them. But I said I'll either trade them off or give them away in a raffle or something. I was thinking about that the other day. I said because I don't feel like games the way they're being priced right now is not fair. But yeah, I've scored like I got the Sega Dreamcast. I've had that given to me for free. Um, the I got the TurboGrafx 16. I got
Oh,
that on a I got it on a trade. So I just traded in some games. I gave the guy some of the games out of my collection that I knew I wasn't going realistically. And that's the thing, you have to be real. You have to as you move forward with collecting, you have to start to embrace the realities that I'm not going to be able to get all the games I want, but I do want to get the games I do want because trying to complete a collection is not the same as it was 5, 10 years ago. Everything's expensive. Like if I could have all 720 some odd Super Nintendo games, I'd have them right now. But reality is those games are too fucking expensive, so you can't even get them. It's just like, never mind. Because like I want Chrono Trigger. Like the game I'm seeking after right now is Super Metroid. I want it complete in box, but if I pay that, it's probably going to be about $60, $70, probably even more than that. I haven't even checked the price recently. So yeah.
Now, have you had anyone, especially, I mean, still, unfortunately, you have some people that want to give people, a lot of crap for being gamers even today. Even though, you'll have someone be all into fantasy football and yet make fun of someone for being into games. Do you ever have someone give you any problems because of being a collector? Like maybe someone comes over and they see your collection, they're like, "Oh, why are you collecting all these games?"
In the beginning, and see that's the thing too with having a YouTube channel. I've gone through a lot of transitions with having this channel. I have to say the channel has made me a stronger person to tolerate a lot of nonsense and bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like people will say some wild and crazy. Like I did a video. The most popular video I have is when I did, and this was a couple years ago or about a year and a half ago. It was about I did a versus because I knew that versus videos they tend to gain a lot more attention and it'll bring in people and they'll start to want to talk to you about it. And that video did almost 3,000 views by itself, and um, and it took off real quick. It was 3D, it was the 3DS or the 3DS XL versus the PS Vita, and this was when the PS Vita was kind of low on the software end. They didn't have a lot of games, and Sony was expecting so much. The expectations were so high, but as you can see, 3DS is still dominating right now. I mean, in a major way. But PS Vita is starting to make a way back because of the interface between the PS4 and the PS Vita. That was a good selling point. But 2 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was a handheld device that was really sucking really bad, like in sales wise. So I ended up getting one. I got a 3DS XL off of yet again. I traded in some games. I traded in some games that I knew I wasn't gonna play. I got the Zelda Ocarina of Time, the blue one, and because Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games for the Nintendo 64. I beat that game so many times, it's ridiculous. But I wanted to play it on a 3D device and see how it was. But yeah, some of the comments that I got on there, it was like, "You are a fucking grown man. What's wrong with you? My kid plays that kind of stuff." And at the time, I didn't know how to respond too well to that because it was negative. Most people, and see that at that time my channel wasn't even that big, as as far as how many people actually tune in now and listen now. Because I think at the time I probably had about maybe 100 subscribers. At this point, I'm almost at 700, and so it was different. And so over the time, I've learned to. I've had other people make other comments, like when somebody just thumbed down your video. I used to take it personal, but then I started realizing that it's nothing. It's really nothing. But yeah, I've had people insult me, and then like recently, I talked about my favorite game of all time, and I said it was God of War 3, and oh man, the hate just came just tumbling down. I was thinking at this point I've gotten this sold up with the people, and we got love and respect in the gaming community. They was like, "That's stupid. That's the most flawed piece of shit," And this was a different time that I could respond to that. So I said, okay, because now my thought process is, okay, you've told me why you don't. Why you've told me in so many words why this is a horrible game, but why do you think it's a horrible game? So I actually go into a conversation of debating. I want to get inside your mind, figure out where you're coming from as to why you're drawing this conclusion. Because if it's of intelligence, I can respect that. If it's out of ignorance, keep it moving because I don't have time. And that's what I do. I like, because this one dude, he was like, I think his favorite game was Shenmue or something like that, and
Ah,
he was like, he has a site dedicated to it, He has a Google page dedicated to it. And so I told him, man, we started going back and forth, and we come to find out we actually had some similarities. And through all that, he subscribed to my channel. And every now and then he'll pop up, and we'll have conversations for about 30 minutes to an hour. And I tend to make it a thing to people that come on my channel and make comments. I'll have a dialogue of conversation with them, and I'll just chop it up with them. I'm not like the other YouTubers. You know, there are YouTubers who comment, even they got their channel is like 4 or 5 times bigger than mine, and they still comment to everybody's comment. I mean, even if it's a few words, people like for you to touch bases with them, you know, to know that you're real, and that's the stuff I try to convey. That's the message I try to convey this year. I opened up. I've opened up about a lot of personal things about myself, stuff I deal with, and all that. And so, what I've been known as, I've been given a lot of titles, and they most of the people say that I'm the internet's smoothest gamer. Then most people, I got people, a lot of the folks that listen to me, they're over in other countries. It's so funny, like the popularity over there is crazy. Like some of these people I've built relationships with, like we talk through Facebook or direct message. Most of them is through IM or something like that, or instant message or whatever. And they'll just hit me up randomly throughout the day, and we'll just start talking. I got people sending me stuff all the time, so it's it has its benefits, and there's things that I've learned. But the growth on the channel has helped me to deal with things even in my own life, personal life, work, family, just to be more patient with people, be more understanding, to gain other people's opinions and not look at them as opposition towards what I'm doing or what I believe or whatever. So, yeah.
And I noticed that one of the cool things that you like, and that's one of the things that we like to do here at Obsolete Gamer, is to reach out to other people. Because a lot of times if people get this idea that if you run anything, especially in gaming, that it has to be competition. Just
Yeah.
because you're trying to have subscribers or hits
Yeah.
or people to come and watch or read your site, that doesn't mean that you have to attack or even look at someone as competition. You're always having other people, you're profiling other people, talking to other people, showing other people's videos, other people's channels. How has that influenced you, and what's that like showcasing other people's work and interacting with other people? You kind of touched on that a little bit, but could you elaborate a little bit more about working with other people and other YouTubers?
Man, it's rewarding because somebody had to help somebody that helped somebody else, you know. So I think I look at it like an ongoing cycle of events that you have to keep going. So like I subscribe to the smallest channels. I don't subscribe to all the big channels because they're already big. It's not that they're not important, but you've already put in the work. You're doing what I'm doing. You're putting in the hard work, but there's people that's just starting, and it's just like, to me, they're like a independent artist that's putting out their music for the first time. Somebody's got to show them some love. Somebody got to show them, hey, or tweak them, or kind of nudge them a little bit and give them an elbow here and there and say, hey, you know what? If you really want to do this, then you got to change this a little bit, or tweak this a little bit here and there, and you know, make sure you present yourself as though you want to be seen. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, really, I do it because I feel like and I thought about this like probably it's funny you asked that question though, Jay, because I thought about it like midpoint of this year. I thought about it midpoint of this year is that I have to make my own gaming community. Like, there's a gaming community within a gaming community within another community and stuff like that. But I said I want to make a community where it's fair and things are kind of balanced out, to where we're not having issues where people don't feel like they can grow. Because what'll happen is that some of these people get in it and they get burnt out. Now, it's not that I don't reach out to the bigger channels, because I do. Because I've met some big YouTubers and stuff like that, And at the same time, I've shouted out their channel, and they've shouted out mine at the same time, so that other people will get to know me. Because there's times that I feel like I've dealt with my own obstacles. You know, let's just, if we're gonna be honest and be real, I feel like faced my own obstacles being black, because being a black retro gamer is not like the norm. You know, you got so many Caucasian people who, they just, as soon as they drop a channel or they drop a video, it just, and I've just had to kind of sputter along and gradually grow. And what it's done for me is just made me more patient. So there's a lot of things that I've learned. So when I see people with different channels, or I see people with different characteristics, kind of out the norm, I reach out to them because I see it. Oh, okay, you just now starting out and you really want to do this, but you don't really know how. I'll show you a couple things, and and I'll introduce you, because I feel like it's a cycle. You know, we have to do that. So that's why I do it.
What was some of like the? I mean, obviously, whenever you're working on videos, and especially, I mean, you can, even if you're recording it, you're doing it, whether you're doing it live. I mean, usually with video, you obviously have the chance to edit it and then upload it. But I'm sure that there had to have been growing pains where you do something. I know that there's been tons of times where I've done an interview or something, and it's like, oh my God, I said this, or I flubbed this, or I did that. Have you had some moments, especially maybe early on, where you're just, oh my God, I'm glad that I was able to edit this out or cut this or not upload that?
Oh, I've edited. The thing was, everything that people have seen me do with my channel has been on my own. As far as, like, I've had people reach out and help me out to get my videos out and stuff like that on other sites. Like, at this time, there's like 4 or 5 sites that work with me, that want to put my videos on their channel. But as far as the editing goes, like you're saying, the uploading, the posting, that's all me. So if you do if you go back in time on my videos, you can see the change. There has been videos I've uploaded and didn't even realize how bad they were. Like, it, it's the growth. It's the growth. Because there's some videos I can show you, I can tell you right now, that are red. Like, the coloring, for some reason, when I recorded it, it was fine. And then I didn't have any real editing tools. Like, I got plenty of software. Now I'm using like 3 software programs at this time. I've become very savvy with it. But at the time, only had a little flip camera, and it was just like this small little camera. And all I would do was just plug it into YouTube, and I would use YouTube as an editing, but really all it did was chop the video up, like at a starting point and at an end point of what you didn't want. So everything in between just came out. So I had videos, I think there was like 2 or 3 videos where my camera was dying and I didn't even realize it. And I uploaded it. And then one day I had a bunch of people just was leaving all these comments, and it was like, the audio is garbage. What's going on? And I was like, what y'all talking about? Then I plugged it in and I listened to it, because I would just do freestyle and I would just put it up there and just be like, just a video, ain't no big deal. And so yeah, and then there's times where I've said stuff that didn't match up, or it wasn't, like, it wasn't factual and I didn't even know it, and then people would call me out, and then I have to go back and look it up, and I was like, dang, I can't believe I just said that. And or there's times where I wanted to cut something out, but because I didn't have no editing tool, I would just put it up there, and didn't realize it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned. I've learned over this year. There's a lot of editing techniques that I've learned, how to put words in, put pictures in, put video in, and stuff like that. It's hard. I mean, people. I was watching Metal Jesus Rock today, and he was just saying something that was very valid. That just I could basically understand, is that it this channel becomes like a part-time job, and there's a method to the madness, and there's a process to all of this, and people don't realize that you have a lot of work. So when you put that on, it's just like putting a piece of art up on the wall at an art gallery, or a convention or whatever. all these people get to see it. So all these people get to critique it and tell you how much they like it or they don't like it, or they wish you would have done this better, or you should have did this better, or this doesn't sound right, or I don't like the way this sounds, or oh, this was the best video you ever did. And that's like the worst thing they can tell you at the same time, to say that it was the best video they've ever seen, because now the expectations is higher and now you feel like, oh, I gotta top that. But I've had to find I had to find my own little median of, as long as I did the work that I'm satisfied with, be happy with it. Be happy with every product I put out, because I'm a harsh critic. I'm very tough on myself. So yeah, I've put out some stuff. I've said some stuff that I went back and was like I did a podcast recently, and it was about trying to help people's channel grow. I said some things on it I could have pulled back on, but I was just so frustrated with the ongoing, because what happens too is that people start to reach out to your channel and they try to reach out to you, and they telling you they want you to shout out their channel. And I'll go look at their channel and they don't have any videos up. I'm like, why would you tell me to shout out your channel and you don't have nothing up? I need to see some history here or something. I need to see some consistency, because if people subscribe to your channel, they got to be able to see that at least putting up a video like once a week, or once every 2 weeks or something, or something. Some consistency is basically the key thing. So I think the podcast is probably one of the things I kind of regret putting up. But yeah, those other videos, the first videos, like some of my first videos, I was so nervous in front of the camera that I was mumbling a lot and people couldn't hear me, and I was having, like, I guess just a freeze up moment. I don't know, man.
What do you
Yeah,
think of some of the common mistakes? Because what I noticed is, and this is what I found out in writing, because that's my trade is in writing, is that a lot of people, first of all, they get this idea that it's millionaire or bust, and they fall in love with a writer or actors. They fall in love with an actor, and they think go
yeah,
to L.A., become like Denzel Washington or Tom Hanks or something. And if they're not that, it's a
yeah,
failure, and go back to whatever
yeah,
town they are, becoming an accountant. And it's like, no, you don't have to be that. Same thing with YouTube. If they're not like YouTuber X that is making $100,000 a month and
right,
has all these sponsors, quit. What would you say is some of the common mistakes that people make? I would say maybe one is not making a channel, or not doing something that you like, which sounds simple and you hear it in a
right.
lot of things, but I don't think people really understand what that means. Like with
They
Obsolete
don't.
Gamer, I do these shows because I like it. I'm talking to Lifespiller because I want to talk to Lifespiller.
Yeah,
Obviously, I want to make it good so that fans like it too, but I like it
right.
first. What would be
Yeah,
some of the things that you said? Like, of course, make sure that you are actually putting out content. What would be some other common mistakes and things that people should look for to have a successful channel?
I think you touched on something there. Is that, and that's what I've done. I I try to, even if it's something popular or not, I still try to keep it to, like, if you go back and look at my at least my last 20 videos, they're more of topic videos, because most of the people, uh, they do the common cliche of doing a pickup video, and I got tired of the word pickup, because pickup is like something you do. You pick something up off the floor. So I stopped saying pickup. I started saying more of game finds, because that's what I do. I go find games. I don't pick up video games. I buy them, or I find them. I go on a search or a pursuit. And you're right about that. You have to do something you love, and if you do it with enough passion, the people will come. And that's what started happening. People started finding out my charismatic, laid back personality, and that I love video games with a serious passion. And so eventually the numbers started to happen. And another thing too is that I became, the first year versus the third year of my channel, kind of heading into my third year, is that you can see the passion. Like, I love doing the videos in the beginning, but I've put out more videos this year probably than the first 2 years. because I started realizing that if this was kind of my make it or break it year. If I was going to make it, then I needed to step it up. I needed to show that I really wanted to do this. Like, this is really something that I'm passionate about. So I think you're right about that. It's all about, like, every day I'm sitting there writing different topics in the midst of conversation. Like, even today, the conversations we're having or partaking in is going to lay back in my head, and there's going to be things that I'm going to eventually, it might be a topic. Like, I just started talking about gaming tattoos, or I started talking about, you know, games that recently, games that expensive games in your collection, or um, games for Halloween, or what games would you sell off as just my recent video. What games would you sell off in your collection? I got future, I already did about 3 videos, and that's another thing too. You start to strategize with your channel and start figuring out ways to do more work in one day instead of stressing yourself out the whole week. Like, now I shoot 2 to 3 videos in a day, and then I do my editing another day, and then I do the upload for another day, and then I do editing, and then I do an upload, and I just keep it like that. And so that way I don't, like, the last 3 videos that I put out, I did those a month ago. So then that way it gives me time to just chill out and not get burnt out. And I think the biggest mistake is, like you're saying, not being passionate about it and not doing what you love, instead of trying to be trendy and keep up, because you're never going to keep up. These people did it at a different time, and it is rough at times to see somebody with that comes, like I said, somebody that comes right from behind you and surpass you, and you know you've been working your ass off, and then they
Yeah.
come in, they get 1,000 subscribers in like 2 months, and here you are, you just checking along, and you just barely making it. But the thing is, the core audience that I have now, I don't even have to barely drop a video. Like, when I first dropped the video, I barely would get 10 views or 20 views or 50 views, and I might get one comment. I told I told one of the subscribers who's been with me, like, he's been with me damn near day one, and I was like, I said, dude, I remember a time when I looked up in the comments and only had one comment, and you were the only one that was commenting on my videos, and that meant the world to me. I was excited about it, but when I look back on it, it was like, man, I've come a long way, because now I get at least 30 to 50 comments, and the views just, they've gone up tremendously. I don't really have to think about it. Now, I do spread myself out, and I make sure that I'm everywhere at all times, and even my coworkers subscribe to my channel. So, and that's, but yeah, I think that's the thing, doing what you love and making it about that. You not feeling like, because I think that's another thing people feel under the pressures. Because I was just talking to one YouTuber who just started out this year, and his channel is bigger than mine. Like I said, he's probably at 800 subscribers, and he still complains about not being able to do enough. And I said, I automatically told him straight up, I assessed the situation, and I told him, I said, you're pessimistic. And I said, the thing is, at the same time, you don't appreciate what you got because you don't take value in yourself. And he was like, dang, how'd you know that? I said, I could tell. I say, you don't realize how fast your channel is growing. I'm like, dude, there's times where I'm stuck on this level for 2, 3 months. Like, I've been on 600 subscribers for about almost 3 months now. I got to 500 in like a week. And see, I got 100 subscribers in one week one time, just because I dropped a video called "How Video Games Saved My Life." And I had, my channel got just smashed with a bunch of people. Just, I mean, my email was blowing up, and so you roll with it. You roll with the highs, you roll with the lows, but somewhere along the lines you find the median and just stay consistent with that. Don't be affected too much about, oh, this video did 2,000 views, and then next week you got a video to do barely 50. So, and it happens. Trust me, it happens.
All right. So for my last question, with the collection that you have, imagine if you were on an island and for some reason you had power, like there's an outlet there, and there's a portal that opened up and you could reach in and you could grab one of your consoles in one game, and that's all you could pull out. You try to see if you could pull more, but you couldn't, and that's all you could pull out to play. What console would you pull out, and what game would you pull out? And you knew you were going to be stuck on this island for a while, playing that one game and that one console.
Um, well, the easy answer would be God of War 3 because that's just my favorite game in the PS3. But then when I look at, if we're just saying favorite game, that's my favorite game. But if I was stuck on an island, I would only be able to play that one game. It would be I have to see. I think I think my Super Nintendo because it's my favorite system and easily it's my favorite system of all time. But is that the one that I'm trying to think of the game that lasts the longest? See, I would just say Super Mario World because that's my favorite game. That's probably my favorite game on the Super Nintendo. There's a lot of nostalgia with that game. I would probably go crazy. There would probably be times where I wouldn't play it. See, because I think people think too much with the question and they don't think about the realities that you're not going to play the game every day,
Right.
but it will be the one game that you will have. That probably would be a game that I would take in the system. I would take a Super Mario World and Super Nintendo because I wouldn't play it every day. I beat that game inside and out, and I've exhausted that game in all avenues. Like my favorite games, I've I've beat them several times. I've like God of War 3. I even saved all the boss battles just to go back to them. Just that's how crazy I was with it. Like I got all God of War games, and it's and Super Nintendo. I mean, there's or Super Mario World. Yeah, I would have to take that game.
And
Yeah.
the funny thing is the reason why I say on an island, and like
Hmm.
I often I just say favorite classic game. But every once in a while, I throw in the island, and the reason why is because I remember one time I asked someone that, and they said Silent Hill, and then I was like,
Yeah.
why Silent Hill? And they're like, oh, I like horror games. I'm like, well, think about it though. You're on an island, so what
Yeah.
if when it's like really dark, you like it? And he's like, no, I don't like playing those games when it's dark. I'm like, well, but you're on an island. So you play. He's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm on an island. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. I mean, at least you think of a game that you can play anytime. You know, you go get Resident Evil, playing Resident Evil on like a deserted island. I'm like, I want a game that is like universal. I can play it anytime. But he's like, I'm gonna
Right.
be
Right.
playing Silent Hill on a deserted island. It's like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because man, there's so many games that I just think about. It's just it's not easy to just say one game. I mean, if I could take 10 games, that would be different or something like that. But yeah, one game would have to be that because honestly, as I've gotten older, the the amount of time that I actually dedicate to a game is a little bit different. I mean, like RPG games, they're fun, but there's a lot of grinding that you have to go into, and so as I've gotten older, I'm not. It's not that I'm not as passionate about gaming. It's just that like you were saying, even on our off air conversation about attention span, and so now it's just like my attention. I'm trying to gain that back little by little. I find myself gaining that back in the sense that I find myself playing a lot more than I used to. Like probably earlier this year, I probably would only dedicate a few hours. Now that my son's gotten older and he's in high school and eventually he'll transition out. And see, we had a dog, but we got rid of it because it just got too crazy. So I don't have to dedicate too much time to that. So like I said, I shoot videos. I usually record my videos on Monday. I'll do this week. It was kind of odd because yesterday I actually did my videos. I did like three of them, and I do a lot of I'll do regular videos like game find stuff, but I also do video response. Or if somebody hits me up and say, "Hey, can you do a response to this video?" and it's a pretty good topic, and I'll check out the video and I might I might do something. Or if it just sparks in me, I'll just write it down right quick and do something. But yeah, I've I've actually had a lot more time to play video games, and what's cool is my job. They let me play games at work, but you do it on your own device. Like I bring my PSP or my Game Boy or whatever, because I'm in IT, so I focus more on the video, on helping out the client, but at the same time, I'm playing my PSP, so that's pretty cool.
That's
So
sweet.
yeah. So I actually take, where is that thing at?
Now, do you? Here's this. Are you the kind of person that keeps a handheld in the bathroom? Honest
Uh,
answer now.
Probably so, yeah. I mean, everywhere I go. I
I
mean,
kind of like
it's
that. Every once in a while, I go to a friend's house and you go in the bathroom and the PSP is there or the DS, and you're like, yeah, that's a gamer.
like, yeah. I usually keep this one, my PSP 3000. Actually, what's even crazier is that, men pockets, they're so deep. I keep them in my pocket most times. Like if I'm going to an event, I'll keep it with me. I'll keep it in my pocket because, like I was telling you, I like going to events and everything and all that, but after a while, I get exhausted and I'll be tired. So I either go off to the corner and just watch a bunch of YouTube videos, or I'll start playing my PSP. And what I did, I modded it. So I've got like TurboGrafx 16 games on there, Nintendo games, all the Nintendo games on. So, and the perfect thing with having a PSP is that you got your little X and O button, but those work like the A and B button. So you can play anything. And so there's games that I know I'll never be able to buy. Like I finally got to play not Little Nemo, but Little Samson. The game's worth about $400 to $800. I finally got to play it, and it actually it's a pretty decent title, but
Wow.
it ain't worth no damn $400 to $800. I can tell you that for sure. It's just too expensive. I'm like, so all the games, and I have emulators because people have mixed feelings about emulators. I personally, the way I feel about emulators is that if they work well, there's no problem, but it also depends on what device you put them on. Like if you put them on your computer, you got to make sure you get the proper emulator, because the way I look at an emulator is pretty much with the day and time and the age that we live in now, you're not going to be able to have all the games you want, but at least you should be able to have the experience of playing that game. Because one of my favorite systems is a TurboGrafx 16, which I got like right, you probably can't see because it's dark, but it's right here. You probably ain't gonna be able to see. Like I'm actually over here I'm on the floor in my what's kind of room. But yeah, I can't even see it.
I see
Uh,
the edge of it.
it's the TurboGrafx 16, the Dreamcast, and Nintendo. But yeah. So that TurboGrafx 16, the games have gone up tremendously. Like the games are starting price is like $20 a piece. So there's no way I'm not gonna sit there and spend all that money for those games and then only play it for, it'll probably get a few spins out of my system out of, for nostalgia reasons and stuff like that because I love them so much. But realistically, some of those games were 8-bit games, and 8-bit games are like just in and out type games. So, but yeah, I've been working on getting other systems. So next year it's not going to be so much about the games. It's going to be more about the consoles. So I got like 5 consoles that I'm already looking to get next year. I don't know about the PS4. I'm still on the fence about it. Definitely not the Xbox One, but I'm on the fence about the PS4 because I love Sony and I love the games and I want the next gen stuff. And plus my buddy, he keeps egging me on. He's like, "Come on, dude, you got to hurry up and get over here to the next gen." I'm like, dude, software lineup sucks right now. I mean, let's just be honest. The third party is the only thing that's out right now that's really, really on and popping. I mean, everything else is kind of the first lineup. I mean, first party lineup is kind of bad right now. So everybody keeps putting stuff on delay. So you really don't know. So, but yeah, that's all I do right now. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, playing Mass Effect, the first one. I got I think I had got like a quarter of the way through, but I lost my save files. I was able to transfer my profile over. I didn't realize how many achievements I had. I had like 15,000. I was like, oh. And then
Wow.
yeah, it was one year I just spent just when I first got my 360. the Slim, the Black Slim, the 250 gig that they announced at E3 a couple years ago. You probably don't even remember it. It's the smaller one, and they fixed everything as far as the fan. They fixed they put the wireless device inside of it and everything, or a wireless adapter, I should say. So everything was just set up perfectly. Oh, I went crazy on that thing. I bought tons and tons of games, but like I said, I kept like 50 of the games, but realistically, I probably bought probably about 100 to 200 Xbox or 360 games. So yeah, each system, each system as you go down, I start to I've spent a pretty good deal of money on. Like the Xbox, I actually didn't even like the system, but then I started finding some first party titles out of it. I got about 70 something out of that. I probably got 70 something games, but my PS2 is probably the one I have the most. I have like 200 games for that. And then so let's see, the Nintendo, I got like 70 something. Super Nintendo about 30 something. Sega Genesis about 60. Um, let's see, PS2 200. My PS1 about 50 games. Um, on the PS3 about 50 games. And that's not including the digital stuff. Like digital games alone, I probably got about 50, probably 50 or 60. Um, and then the other systems are kind of small. Like, oh, my Nintendo 64, I got about 30 something. Um, TurboGrafx 16 only got 2 games. Dreamcast only got 6 games. Those games are expensive. They're so expensive. I mean, they got like the Dreamcast got a bunch of sports titles down here in Texas, man. You don't really you don't come across those games that much. So then when you do come across them, they overcharge you. The GameCube only got about 16 or 17 games because those games are going up. So eventually I'll probably download a GameCube emulator and play those instead because it's just cheaper that way. I'm like, this is too much. So like I was telling you earlier, I've gotten towards the position of just kind of going after what I want. If it's dirt cheap, like if I find games for $1 or something, like I find Final Fantasy games all the time for like a few dollars, so I'll just grab those up. Like I got Final Fantasy 8 through 12, and if you add up how much I spent, I probably spent about $20 on those games altogether because they were just, I either got them on a trade, I got them at a pawn shop, or just, and that's how I got my collection so fast. Is that most of the stuff I just got it dirt cheap, or I buy it because that's the best thing to do is buy it in bulk. When I buy it in bulk, then you come off cheaper. And recently, I went to a couple gaming conventions, and I've just gotten smart with spending my money. Like I probably bought about the Retropalooza. I probably spent well, I probably spent about $40, but I walked out of there with like 40 or 50 games easily.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just that you just got to know how to strategize and how to bargain with the people a little bit. Like I picked up a lot of titles that I've been looking for. Like I was looking for Mario Kart, what is it, Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox 64, Star Ocean. I picked all those games up like for a few dollars. I mean, it wasn't. And now normally they're like $30, $40. I'm like, that's why
Well,
it
that's
took so long
cool
for me
to
to
have
get
such
them.
a good collection, and not it's not like you're dropping so much money. Because I mean, I guess a lot of people would get the idea that, oh, if I go into collecting, that I'm going to have to spend so much money. And I'm sure that, like you said, there are some titles out there that you could spend a lot of money on. But if you're patient and bide your time and know where to shop, you don't have to always go broke to have a good collection.
No, no, you don't. I mean, realistically, like I said, but it's with growth and with time because I've seen dudes buy several thousand games in 1 year. Like one of the dudes that I subscribed to his channel probably about 5, 6 months ago, and I asked him, I was like, dude, how many games you got? He was like, oh, I got about 2,000 games. And I was like, 2,000 games. And I know he spent some serious money because most of the stuff he bought at the going rate or whatever it is, and eventually it starts to hit your pocket. And so, of course, with being married, you start to realize, okay, I gotta slow down. And so this year, I've actually slowed down even more. And what it's done, and it's almost kind of been a good thing at the same time because by that happening, it's made me stretch and grow with the channel. Because in the beginning, all I thought that's all you had to do was, the pickup, quote unquote, pickup type videos. But then when I started going around the community, I started seeing people doing topics and stuff and just going on about that topic for a certain period of time. I was like, well, shoot, I can do that. So then that's when I started doing podcasts. I started doing my own podcast and I started recording it. And then I even made it available to be downloaded. I did all that stuff on myself. I'm like, man, it's a lot of work. But once you do it a couple times, it becomes just the norm. You just learn how to do that stuff. So then I started saying, well, let me just start coming up with topics to talk about and see how people respond. And when I started seeing how people responded, I was like, you know what? And that's what a lot of people have come to know me for. It's like if you go to his channel, he's gonna talk about game type things going on in the community, whether it be retro, whether it be current, whatever, future wise, just hypothetical stuff. I mean, just trying to dig into your psyche a little bit and see what you think on this subject. So yeah, I mean, I just did 3 videos that'll be coming up. Matter of fact, I did a big game find video because I had a whole bunch of stuff, and then I got another video. Oh, the top 5 items that you want in your collection, and I just talked about it. I said I didn't really want games, I want systems. So I went on and talked about what systems I want. And then I did a video about spiller mail or Lifespiller mail, whatever you want to call it. And then I got another video that's coming up pretty soon. It'll probably be down the road, um, talking about Ask Lifespiller. And people started asking me all these questions. Well, I learned a few new editing features to put the comments up on the screen and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start doing that. So I've learned from a lot of the big YouTubers, and I've learned from some people that are close to me as far as in the numbers and stuff like that, little techniques, and I've asked them various questions and stuff like that. So I'm not the type that don't feel like he can't grow or learn from other people, whether their channel is smaller than mine, bigger than mine, close to mine, whatever the case may be. So I'm always asking questions because I'm always wanting to grow. Because eventually I want my channel to be kind of like, it's not even about the numbers, it's more of what I want it to be, more of a newsy type, game newsy type video or channel or whatever. So that's the direction I'm heading in. So I'll still do the pickups. I'll still add the videos in of games that I've added to my collection. But as far as that goes, I've been slowing down. Like these last 2 months, I probably only bought a few games. I'm surprised. And it's just that I haven't seen anything that I want. So it's just like I don't really need, it's like you just become realistic with yourself. You're like, okay, if I buy this game, am I really going to play it? I mean, and that's what half of the gamers out there have said. So that's why my last video was, what games would you sell, or what part of your collection would you sell in order to obtain that certain item that you've been wanting? So, and a lot of people gave me a big response. They were like, I'll sell half of my collection. And it's like, it's not. So that just goes to show there's no real attachment. Now, there's certain games that I will not sell. Like, there's certain retro items that I've gotten. Like, one of my buddies in the UK, he sent me one of the first handheld devices that were. It's called a microvision blockbuster, and it's like in the most pristine condition. Surprisingly, it came out the same year I was born, so it was like, whoa, it's been out for a long time. But I keep it wrapped up in a box and everything. I haven't played it yet. He keeps asking me about it, and I'm like, no, I haven't even played it yet. I'm not gonna. But yeah, there's certain retro games that I've collected. I'll never sell them because it's just too many memories attached. So, and my wife and I, we've worked out a situation with these game consoles, because if you see all these consoles, they're not plugged in anymore because she hates the wires. The only one that's plugged in is my 360, only because that's the one I'm playing. She's like, okay, let's compromise. And
It's all
we'll
about
be playing
compromise.
this. Yeah. Oh man, God. And it's like pulling teeth, man. I really be like, ah. I said, okay, I'll work with it. So she's like, you only need to put up the systems or plug up the systems that you're actually going to play. And I said, okay. And then the rest of my cords, because the cords, oh my God, it's really bad. I got, I probably have more than 50 controllers. If you add up all the controllers, it's probably more than that. I'm just throwing a random number out there. But wires, I have AV wires, ACM cords, plugs, all kinds of stuff. She actually got me a chest. Now she really is sweet, man. And I actually did a video about that, what it's like being married to a gamer, and that video, it opened up another door where people, and see, that's what I'm not afraid to do, is talk about certain subjects that most people, because they usually keep their spouse on the outskirts of their collecting, and this is mine and this is what I do, and see, really, it kind of backfires when you do that. That's why recently I've started putting the posters up on the wall, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be your corner. You do whatever you want." And so I did that. But yeah, she was like, "You're gonna have all these consoles," because she bought me this glass case right here, the one that you see. I don't know if you may have seen it, but the glass case that she has for all my games. She said, "What I want you to do eventually is get a light and put a light on each row. That way it'll light up and stuff like that." But yeah, take the controls down, take the wires down. Because I got all these switches. Let's see. Where is that bad boy? There it is. This was my switch right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I used to switch between consoles. And on the back, you'll see nothing but AV connections and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, she was like, we can't do that no more. Not if you play. And she got me all these little containers for my additional games, because you see the shelf. I'll show you the shelf over there if you can see that.
Yep.
And so all those games, that ain't all my games. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, where can you put where can you put 700 games? So what she did was she got me these. They're like these little containers that you can stack all your additional stuff in there, because I had to start putting it on the shelves. And she was like, okay, this is getting out of control. She's like, one day she stopped me. She was like, where is this going? I was like, what are you talking about? The channel? I was like, it ain't going nowhere. She was like, oh, okay. No, I mean the collecting, because this is. I said, well, I said, really, I'm not, and you don't tell the whole truth, you tell the truth, you know. I was like, well, I'm still buying games, but I ain't buying them like I used to. Cause she said, I want you to do this. She told me to go ahead and just get a card and just start putting money on that card. And I was like, really? I don't know about that. I said, I'm like, I said, oh, okay. Cause she was like, oh, PayPal card. She was like, yeah, just get you a PayPal card and load it up. Cause that way she don't have to see the charges. Cause it's like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So she, so she don't have to think about it or know about it. And I'm like, I said, I promise you, it's not really getting as bad as you think. I said, I actually, because half the time, if we do go to stores together, she knows I'm going to the game section, but I go to the game section and I might be over there for like 5 minutes, because half of the stuff I've either had it, beat it, played it, owned it, or I still got it.
Oh, so
And
it's not
so,
like you're gone for like hours. It's like, oh, it's like, you walk in the store and just where'd he go? Like, you know where he went.
yeah, like if I go somewhere on my own, it's if as if I'm trying to find something new, like like if I go to a mom and pop shop, I'm going through there and I'm trying to compare their prices, because I'm walking through with my phone in my hand and I'm like, they're overcharging. Never mind, I don't want it. It's
What
not
about
even
if
worth it.
guests come over the house? It's like, don't go in that room. Or
Oh
she
no
opened
no.
that room, it's been a while, it's like, oh, Lord.
No, I keep it organized, man. I keep it organized. I'm really, really like, she laughs. She calls me Rain Man with my games, because oh man, I've gotten some really good scores before, and she's thrown away like she's thrown away like the container or the case. Like I bought God of War Ascension 3 times. Reason why was the first time I got it, I had the special one. I had the collector's edition. I still got the box, and I got everything still in box up on top of my shelf. But the game itself, it came in one of those iron cases or whatever, metal cases, and I traded it off. I didn't want it anymore. I was done with it. I was like, okay. But then later on, I bought it again, and I got it for like $20. But then I was done with it, and I traded it off again. But then I bought it again, but I went to a pawn shop and I found it for $1. But
Oh
I
man.
found it in little sleeves. And now that I'm thinking of, I couldn't even think of it on the doggone video what it was called, but I found it in one of those little sleeves, and the sleeve said "not for sale" or "not for resale," and it was one of those little special ones. I guess they gave them away. I don't know, man. And I found it for $1 at the pawn shop, and I was like, only $1. I was like, great. And so I was going to showcase that on a video, but during the case of when we moved, somebody threw it away, and I know it wasn't me. She was talking about, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I think somebody threw it away, and I think it was you. I said, and the reason why I know it was her because we have all our DVDs in like this case under the TV, and when we were packing everything up to move to our new place, she may have asked me about it, but she probably asked about it in passing, and it just got thrown away. So I went up to GameStop and I grabbed another case. They just gave me a case for free, and I just put it in there. So, but yeah, I've always find stuff. But yeah, over the years I've gotten a little bit better with it because I used to spend. Uh, I know one year pre-orders alone, $2,000
Oh man.
because I had pre-ordered like you got to look at it like this. I pre-ordered about 20 to 30 games in one year. When I learned that you could pre-order a game, oh, that was I had pre-ordered like what Dante's Inferno, God of War, the special edition. That was like 120 something easily. Um, L.A. Noir, man, Bioshocks. I had got some special edition or collector's edition. Man, I pre-ordered a lot of games, and I don't even have those games anymore. Like more than half of that stuff, I don't even have it anymore. But yeah, pre-orders, that was bad for me. I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And even my one of my good buddies, he used to get into it with me. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, did you hear about that game? And like, I even remember pre-ordering Red Dead Redemption. I had got the collector's edition for the PS3, and I still got. I actually have it on both systems. And my buddy, he got rid of his 360, so I got two Red Dead Redemption for the 360, and I got one for the PS3. And I don't even play them anymore because I done beat the game like twice, so I just let it sit on my shelf. But yeah, there's games that I just say to myself that if I'm never gonna play them again, and they don't have any value to me anymore. Like as far as something I would go back to, like, oh man, I love this game, I want to throw this back in there. Then I'm starting to get rid of it. So maybe next year I'll get rid of like 100 games. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna have to see because it's hard. It's really hard. People think it's easy to get rid of games, but it's not. Certain games, like you can get rid of like 5 to 10 games real easily, like in a trade, because you're getting something in return. Like I'm trying to work out a trade to get the Sega Saturn because I really want one. And the guy, he was like, he gave me a list out of my games of what he wants. And I actually told him you can have them. I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And he was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. He haven't responded back, so I'm just waiting. I told him I'm gonna hit him up again because I really want that Sega Saturn. I want it cheap. I don't want to. I don't want to pay no money for it. Like the Wii, if I get the Wii, I want it free. I don't or pay like maybe $20 or $30. I don't want to. I'm not gonna pay. I had it before and I spent $300 for that damn thing. And I don't even, it got to a point where it just sat on my shelf and I never touched it. Not that some of my consoles don't sit on my shelf and never get touched. I have to clean this dust off all the doggone time. I mean, I got two PS2s, and one of them gets played, and the other one is my backup. I learned about that having backups. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me, man. that's that's the day in life with dealing with all the stuff that I deal with. And I mean, you got any questions, you can hit me up. Like I said, man, I ain't got nothing else to do. Not today, anyway. You hit me up on a good day.
Well,
Normally, weekends, we go out and we do whatever. We go out, eat to the movies, to an event, or this weekend it was a slow weekend, so we're gonna be chill. I'm gonna probably watch the football game on Sunday. And that's probably about it. Play
well,
games.
I do definitely thank you for talking with us, and I hope that everyone who watches this will go over to YouTube and go over to Lifespiller 79 and subscribe to his channel because I mean there's a lot of great videos up there, and he also will get you in touch with other great YouTube channels to see as well because I mean that's the thing, you know, there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there that you can always see, and sometimes they don't get all of the recognition that you know people should get. You know, as we were talking about, you know, it's not always just the ones with millions of hits. Sometimes you have to actually do a little searching to find those, I guess, diamonds in the rough, as they say. But Life Spiller, you know, thanks for coming on and talking with us. It was a great conversation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too, man. And it's funny because that's the I if I got $1 every time I heard the one comment that I get all the time, why don't you have more subscribers? I'm like, I don't know either. I'm trying to figure it out myself. It's I've had people hit me up. I've had other channels reach out and it just don't. I have to say that I think the thing is YouTube has changed too, like from the structure from the bottom all the way to the top of how it's being done now. Because there was a point where they just they dropped all the small channels to the very bottom to
Mhm.
where you went to non-existent, and I had to. There, I even saw it happen with my views and my subscribers to where I had to crawl back and go beyond where I was before because it's like they wiped my channel and I had to almost start over. They didn't get rid of my videos, they didn't get rid of my views. Everything just went to nowhere. But now they switched some of the stuff to where your channel is your channel's not necessarily easy to find, but the views or your videos are. Like whatever topic you put up, now it's starting to go to the top. It'll stay up there for a little while, but your views, if it's not really big views, then it'll drop back down. But at least for that day, people get to see you. And they get, I'm actually getting, they're like, I didn't even know. So that's why I did a video called Who is Lifespiller, kind of breaking it down for some people to help them out to know who I am. But yeah, man, I'm so surprised that you even reached out because people will say, oh, yeah, I'll do a podcast. I'm like, man. I was like, I'm not even taking you for real. I was like,
Ha!
okay, I'll give you a benefit of the doubt, but I was just like, still at the same time, I'm like, okay.
Nah, Obsolete
Nah.
Gamer for real. We're for real, and we'll
Oh
be
yeah, your video.
and we'll
Let's
be
go.
back really soon for another gamer profile because we like doing this and we like talking to awesome people and definitely you're awesome, Life Spiller. So we'll be back very soon, and
Okay.
thank you guys for tuning in. And remember our motto: never stop gaming. And we'll catch you guys very soon. All right?
All right.
Catch you guys.